Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Kathy Amery. I'm with Valley Arts and Education. I am so glad you're here. It has been a while since I've done a video, but I thought I'd kick off the season with this little gnome. It's called No More Summer. And so we're going to work on this today. Now, when we work on this, we're going to need a black canvas. But if you don't have a black canvas, it's okay. Because I painted this originally on a white canvas and then painted the background. The pattern is down below, so you'll be able to trace it on. Now, if you're going to trace it on a white canvas, you can just use regular transfer paper. But if you're going to have a black canvas, you will need a light colored, like a white transfer paper. Once we get it all traced on, for the black canvas, we're going to underpaint everything in white. So all the leaves have to be white. Uh, Everything has to be painted white. And the reason for that is because in order for this pumpkin to really pop, or the leaves to really pop, they're not going to look really good on a black canvas if you don't underpaint it in white first. So that's what we're going to do today. So I hope you'll join us and we'll get started just shortly. I'm going to go ahead and underpaint this in white. When we come back, I will give you a list of all the other supplies, the paints and brushes that we're going to be using today. So we'll see you shortly. Thanks. All right, we are back, and my setup's just a little bit different than I typically do. All right, so I'm painting on my table because this is where I create. This is where I paint. I don't paint on the easel, only if I'm out teaching or so I just thought I'd set this up a little bit different and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, guess what? We'll go back to the old way. But for now, um, I've painted our little gnome, but I didn't paint all of him. I left some of him available. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start out on our pumpkin. Now, a couple things I want to point out. When you underpaint, especially like this pumpkin, I always kind of paint that pumpkin in the way that I think it will grow, if that makes any sense. All right. Once we get the pumpkin painted, then we'll start to work up here on the gnome a little bit. Then we'll do these guys last. Now I left a couple of these because this one actually kind of comes over the pumpkin and so does this one. But I also want to show you how I use the stencil. Now a couple other things. I went ahead and used the stencils on these, and when I did, I made a little bit of mess, but I can just go over it with some black paint, and then I can actually cover this whole thing in black eventually. So I'm not too worried about it. Okay, what other supplies do we need? Okay, um, you're going to need some black paint because we are going to paint over that. So I'm using all my paints are Deco Art. So I have Lamp Black. I'm using a Santa Red, Festive Green. This will be in the leaves with some orange and yellow and reds. Jack-o'-lantern Orange. I have Cad Yellow. For his hat, we're going to do Burnt Sienna. And then we also have Snow Titanium White. You're going to need a cup of water. Oh, and one other thing. Forgive me, Deco Art, but I just had this Flesh Tint Creative Impressions that I use when I'm out painting. So that's what we're using for his nose and his arms that are exposed and his big cheeks. So with that, we're going to start on the pumpkin because we want him to dry. And you will need some napkins, which I do have here, and then I have my cup of napkins. Brushes. So a lot of this I'm going to probably do with the 8. And then when I get to the leaves, I will probably use the 0 to kind of do the detail in the leaves. So water, napkins, brushes, paint, your favorite beverage, which happens to be my second cup of coffee today. Oh, I have some little goldfish. Love goldfish. And I thought I might want a little Reese's Pieces. All right. Gonna squirt some of this on here. Oh, paper plate or some type of palette. I'm gonna go ahead and lay some yellow down here as well. Now, the downside of painting on this table, I feel like I have no space because I've got my laptop here so I can monitor the recording. And it has a tendency to want to wig out on me just a little bit today. I think my connections are not the best. So, I'm going to start out with the jack-o'-lantern orange, and we're just going to go right on top of this white. Now, I see how transparent this is. So, a couple things we can do. We can add a little bit of white to this to kind of make it a little bit darker, and then we can add a second coat. How about if I get into the camera? Okay. All right. All right, so maybe this isn't the best idea. All right, there we go. We're going to go right up to the very edge there. And the reason why I wanted to start on the pumpkin first is because it will probably take 2 coats. I might pick up a little bit of red and add some red and yellow to this orange just to make it a little bit brighter. And again, don't be afraid to turn that canvas a little bit, turn it around. And again, notice the stroke that I'm doing. I'm just going back and forth here. Just in that shape of the canvas. Looking good. Again, picking up some more paint here. I'll start on this side. I'm going to cover that pumpkin. Pick up a little bit of white. See how that just makes that color pop a little bit. Then we can go back over it. Now, again, I'm using a pretty small brush with this. You could use a little bit bigger brush. But I am a pretty fast painter. Sometimes I'll just go right back over where I just painted, adding a little bit more color. And I'm going to go right up in between here because that pumpkin originally kind of comes right across there. He is standing on that pumpkin. We do have a Christmas painting that we're going to be coming out with here very soon. And for some reason, I'm really into the gnomes. So it's floating around in my head. And hopefully it will hit the canvas very shortly. Now again, he's definitely going to need a second coat here. I'm okay with that. When I get to the middle, I'm kind of pretty straight here. And sometimes I kind of like mixing that red and yellow together and making my own color. That will go right on top of here. And you definitely want more yellow in there than red. get to that middle, I just go straight up and down. And this is definitely going to need another coat, but we're going to let that settle. All right. Okay, I am going to wipe my brush out. I am now going to work up here on this hat. And that is going to be the burnt sienna. Now, we are going to put the burnt sienna on and let that dry. We'll come back and do the little dots on it. Now, you notice I did not paint this in here because I want to get the hat done first, and then I'll come back and paint these leaves white. The problem, part of the problem, if you just paint everything white, you kind of might lose your way a bit, lose your pattern. Again, I like to kind of pick my painting up, and I'm going to have to just rearrange this just a little bit. Forgive me for rearranging just a little bit. There we go. That was a little awkward there, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to pick up this smaller. When you get into the smaller areas, don't be afraid to change brushes and get in there and see how I'm painting that. And yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of cleanup around here, but that's okay. I'm okay even painting with this smaller brush. Because I can clean up some lines with that. When I paint on an easel, it's just like, I feel like I can't move this. And I want to be able to get close to my painting. Picked up a lot of paint there. Trying just to go around my little leaves there. And because I have this painted now, I can see my leaves just a little bit better. And then I'll cover those in white. I will come back and put a little black band around there. But we're going to let that dry. So got his hat going here. All right. He's kind of coming together. See my leaves popping out there? All right. Water. You'll see me do this a lot. Whenever I clean my brushes, swish them around in the water, and then always wipe them off on the napkin because trust me, you can see the water's not always going to get all the paint out of there. All right, coffee time. Love coffee. Okay, and see all the little marks on my tablecloth? That's from my granddaughter. She's almost 2 and she loves to write, but sometimes she gets off the tablecloth. But that's washable pen, so. All right, while we're here, let's go ahead and paint his pants because they are brown. Now, if think we're good there. We get into that beard a little bit. It's not a big deal. Because we can always kind of come back in with a little bit more white. All right. And his pants. I've got to look at the painting here. Yeah, they're just. His pants are done. His hat is done. A couple globs of paint there. All right. Acrylic paint dries pretty quick. And so I'm going to go over this pumpkin again because I really want it to stand out. I'll pick up the number 8 again, right in here, right on top of that yellow, mix that in there. Got quite a bit of paint on there. And again, I'm just going to start right over here and go in this direction. I'm kind of losing his foot a little bit, but that's okay because we'll bring it back. Now, see how I'm kind of curving that around? And I'm not covering everything. I'm leaving some light spaces in there. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to come over here. I'm so excited to be painting with you guys again. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We are a nonprofit. Now, due to COVID, crummy COVID, we've not been out doing and giving the free paint classes like we normally do, but that's why these are free. We work strictly off of donations. Can't even say I get paid. So somebody says, well, why do you do this then? Well, it's because I love to teach and I love art. And you know, there's so many of you that I've painted out there with before that I miss you guys. All right. We might come back with just a little bit of, I don't think I did it in the original, but now I'm just going to come I picked up a little bit of the burnt sienna. I'll do it again. When I picked it up, I kind of wiped it off on a plate because I don't want a lot of paint on here. So you can see that I wiped it off there. And then just where I kind of think there should be some shadows, again, I'm going to pick up a little bit more, wipe it off, trying to get to where you guys can see it and wipe it off. Almost like a dry brush kind of technique. And again, if I wiped up too much paint, I'll just there we go, pick some more up. Just some little definition in here, some shadows. If we get too crazy with them, well, guess what? We can always. All right, it's beginning to look like a pumpkin. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to white. We're going to work on his cheeks, his arms. I'm going to go into my white, his nose here. And this is a small brush, but it's got quite a bit of paint on it. And then his cheeks. just trying to make those as round as I can. One side seems to be bigger than the other. But that happens to us, doesn't it? And then we're going to come down. Now these are his hands. I wasn't sure what quite to do with them, but I just kind of holding himself there. And up in here is all going to be his beard. We're going to mix some black and white together to get a gray, but it's actually kind of looking gray in there already. And while we're playing in the white paint, let's go ahead and work on these guys right up here. Get them underpainted. There's two leaves here. There's this one right here. And if your hand's a little shaky, that's okay because they're supposed to be leaves. All right. Wiping this off. Let's just grab a little black. Probably should shake that up a little bit. I think we're about empty here. Oh. Well, I'm going to cheat. Just take a little out of there. I really don't want a lot. I'm just going to paint this foot down here. As I said, we can always get it back. All right, and then I'm just going to wipe the rest here. Pick up a little white. Even that little bit of black was plenty. That's all I needed. And now I've got a nice little gray. I want you to see that gray. And we are actually going to go in short little strokes here right under his cheeks and nose. And right between his hands. And we're just going to cover it with that gray. We're not done with that beard yet, so we're going to let the gray dry. His beard's quite long. Okay. I'm wiping out my brush. Having a fish. Picking up this flesh colored. There we go. Still working with a small brush. Go right in here. And let's start to work on this nose in here. I'm feeling like I need a little bit more white. Just because that black is pretty black. And I still have that peach or that flesh colored on my, and I'll need a little bit more in here. Picking up some white, picking up the flesh. And the reason is because I didn't really have a really good coat of white on. And then we'll let that dry, go back in with straight blush colored. All right, so when you're happy with, we're gonna let that dry just a little bit. And I'm gonna show you how to put the stencil on. Again, I cut this out with Cricut Maker. I got it last Christmas, and it's been a new friend of mine. Uh-oh. Um, these were the 3 sizes that I cut out. And I just cut it on like cardboard. You could cut it on plastic. You could do whatever you want. And I think I used a large one down here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to kind of line it up with what I traced on here. Now let's check that. Oh, nope, I used the middle size. Make sure, oh, it really doesn't matter because the leaf is going to get colored anyway, but I want to get some of that paint off here. I know you can see my computer. Sorry about that. Oh well. And we're going to go into the white. And I'm going to just paint away from the edges and toward the middle. And that's how I get this nice clean shape on here. All the way around. Now, if I was painting like that, it might not turn out so well. So we just paint away. Okay. And voila. All right, so I didn't quite line it up as well, but it's okay. And then this little guy down here, we're close. If I hadn't already painted him on there a little bit, it wouldn't be so hard to line up. So I moved into this house about a year and a half ago. I swear, I hear more noises in this house. All right. But you can kind of see now it looks like he has one behind him, and that's okay. All right. So this guy should be dry. We're going to wipe out our brush. If I need to wet it, I can wet it. Okay. Oh, and we're going to switch, after I clean that all out, we're going to switch to the little one. Because we're going to go and put the blush tones, the straight flesh tone, right on his nose. See how he's kind of popping there a little bit? There we go. There's the nose. Here's the cheeks. We will add a little bit of color to his cheeks after he dries again. I'm going to do his hands. right. And just wipe it on there. I'm going to pick up some white. Now, I don't want to cover up all of this dark gray in here. I just want these really short strokes. Some of them might get a little long, but leaving some of the dark underneath there. If I need to, I will come back and put a little bit more dark in there. And wipe out my brush, go back to that white. Just right up against his nose and cheek. And we're not getting rid of all of the dark. And I'm not pressing hard either. It's just a very light touch. You'll see my arm, my hand resting against here. And that's so that I can't press hard. And then I just got too much paint there. And then just come right along and okay. All right, so now we're ready for the leaves. So the leaves are kind of combination of the oranges, which I'm going to have to put some more orange on here. It has orange in it. It has a little bit of red in it. It has some green, probably some yellow as well. So we're going to add some more paint here. All right, so I'm not sure where my video kind of messed up, but we're now working on leaves. I am using this small brush. I'm going to start with some orange. I'm going to start up here on this leaf. Now, your leaves may look a little bit different than mine, but I'm just going to start with some orange in here. I'm not cleaning my brush. I might pick up a little bit of red, and see how I'm just kind of blending it into that orange while it's still wet. Just right there on the edges. Pick up some more orange. And just blending it with the red. Wiping out my brush. Gonna pick up some green. And I'm just blending it right in there with that red. Just smushing it all together. A little bit more. I'm okay if it's a little bit. And then I'm going to pick up yellow and throw it in there. See how pretty that is? And I'm kind of pulling that green back in there. I might be losing a little bit of it, but I'm all right with that. Wiping my brush out. I'm going to go pick up some more orange. I love doing these leaves. I'm going to go right back over some of that. And that is how we get these really pretty meshed turning leaves. And there you have it. Kind of pretty, huh? Now, the stems, I'm using a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm just going to meld that right down in there. Meld. Might even pull some of that up into the leaf. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Love doing leaves. All right, same process. For here, I'm just going to start with some yellow or orange. Picking up yellow this time. Let's go ahead and pick up green. Wiping out my brush just a little bit. Coming back in here and just moving that paint. It's not so bright, but picking up some more orange. And just a small bit of red. Just and it going right on top. I'm wiping out my brush. Pick up some more orange. And I think you just have to kind of, however you feel comfortable doing it. I need a little bit of white there because I missed it. And again, just do that for all of your leaves and you are going to be fine. Picking up some of that burnt sienna. Wiping. And what I like is that you see that I wipe up my brush a lot. Don't go always to wet it. I just wipe it out, and especially when you're doing stuff like this. That leaf is okay. Not really digging it as much, but it's all right. Let's do these leaves over here. And then you can do the rest of these leaves on your own. I'm confident. While we have the red though, we're going to take a little bit of red and some white and make a really kind of soft pink. And I want to I'm going to pick up a little bit of this flesh colored. Let me go over these cheeks one more time. Then I'm going to come in here with the same dirty brush. Need a little bit more color. And we're just going to rosy those cheeks up just a little bit. I don't know if you can really see that, but they are just a little pink. I'm going to wipe my brush out, pick up a little bit of white, and right across his nose. There he goes. All right. So picking up some orange. And we're going to go in here and start with this leaf. And I'm just trying to get my points back because I've kind of lost them a little bit. But pick up a little white. Grab my orange and just add it to that leaf. Again, if I want some other colors in there, like some yellow or green, I can add that as well. All right, we're almost done here. As I said, you can go ahead and finish the rest of those. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Leave a comment below. Again, if you like this painting, be sure to subscribe. Need a little bit of more color in there. Just how about some red? I'll pop some red in there. Not a lot. Just a little bit. I've lost him a little bit. I'm going to take a little black, put his band in there. Right across there. Then the last thing we're going to do, I am cleaning out my paintbrush for this. We're going to add little dots to his hat. Again, using white, just randomly place those polka dots there. They could be any size you want. They could be small, they could be large. I'm going to place a half of one right there. And there you have it. Yeah, all you have to do is just finish up your leaves and you will have a done painting. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this painting. Again, be sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and you can be notified of any more paintings that we put out there. Have a great day and stay safe.